Welcome to a quick review of Ecology. Complete your review work as you watch this video. You can pause, rewind, and replay any section at any time to maximize your learning. Let's begin by reviewing the 6 levels of organization. There are important ecological relationships that occur in each level of organization found on Earth. The biosphere, biome, ecosystem, community, population, and organism. We're going to start with the broadest level, the biosphere. The biosphere is anywhere life exists on Earth. This includes the land, air, and any body of water. In other words, the Earth itself is the biosphere. Biomes can be described as different areas of the world that have the same general climate and similar organisms. For example, both northern Africa and parts of southern California are in a desert biome. An ecosystem is a collection of all the living and non-living factors in one area. The biotic things interact with each other and are influenced by the abiotic factors. A community is composed of all the living things within an ecosystem. It is made of all the various kinds of organisms living together in that ecosystem. A population is a group of the same species. This picture shows a population of elk. Populations are made of organisms. An organism is one individual or one member of the species. Now let's take a closer look at the factors that define an ecosystem. That means biotic and abiotic factors. Biotic factors are all the living things found in an ecosystem. Plants, animals, algae, bacteria, and other microorganisms are examples of biotic factors. The interactions of these organisms, think competition and predation here, are biotic factors too. Abiotic means all the non-living things found in an ecosystem. For example, the average temperature, available nutrients, precipitation, and humidity would all be abiotic factors. This does not include dead organisms. These would be considered biotic because they used to be alive. Abiotic factors would influence how successful an organism would be in its habitat. Let's review the concept of a niche. A niche is the role that an organism plays within its ecosystem. It includes how it lives or its lifestyle within that ecosystem. Many people confuse a niche with a habitat, but a niche is not just a place or an address where an organism lives. It's much broader than location. It's the full range of conditions and interactions used by an organism in its habitat. Consider the niche of a bullfrog. It's an amphibian, a mid-level consumer, it's a predator but it's also prey, it's a sexual reproducer, and it lays eggs in the warm months. All of these characteristics define its niche, or how it lives in its environment. It's time to review community interactions. Organisms in an ecosystem interact in many ways. This could be within a single species or between 2 or more species. Predation is an interaction in which one organism, the predator, captures and feeds on another organism, the prey. Competition is when 2 or more organisms struggle over a common resource, like food or mates. These 2 bighorn sheep are fighting over mates. Symbiosis is any relationship where 2 organisms live very close together. This means there are 3 types of symbiotic relationships. Commensalism is a type of symbiosis in which one organism benefits from the relationship and the other one does not, but the other one is not harmed either. Barnacles on a whale is a good example. You can think when and who cares here, but that would not be an acceptable answer for a test. Mutualism is also symbiotic. It occurs when both organisms benefit from the relationship. Bees and flowers is a great example. The bee gets food and the flower gets pollinated. In other words, it's a win-win situation. The last type of symbiotic interaction is parasitism. Here, one organism benefits from the relationship, but the other one is harmed. A tick on a dog is a good example. Think win-lose for this one. So what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is the science of classifying and naming organisms with a scientific name. For example, a killer whale is known scientifically as Orcanis orca. There are several key things to include in a scientific graph. Every graph should have a title. The names of the independent variable and the dependent variable should be labeled with the proper units shown below, in parentheses. The interval of each variable should be evenly spaced. For example, each line for the dependent variable represents 10 meters per second, and each line of the independent variable represents 1 second. I would also like to see you label the x-axis as the independent variable and the y-axis as the dependent variable. So what's the difference between the dependent variable and the independent variable? The dependent variable is also called the responding variable. It shows the effect, if any, of the independent variable. It's usually graphed on the y-axis. It literally depends on the independent variable. Think of it as the output of the results of the test. The independent variable is also called the manipulated variable. It is the cause of any change you see in the dependent variable. It's usually graphed on the x-axis. The scientist can alter the values of this variable at any time. Think of it as the input to the test. For example, if a scientist were studying the effects of vitamins on life expectancy, the independent variable would be the amount of vitamins taken by the subjects. The dependent variable is their lifespan. How long they live depends on how much vitamins they consumed. That's all for now. I hope this helps, and as always, happy studying!